In a world where words were once the primary bridge between minds, a new invention shattered all previous limitations. It wasn't a phone, it wasn't a neural implant, it wasn't even a device in the traditional sense. It was AetherCard, a sleek, metallic card, no larger than a credit card, yet capable of something that defied logic. With a single touch, it could connect two minds, allowing them to share thoughts, emotions, and even memories, all without speaking a word. No more misunderstandings, no more lies, no more barriers between human connection. When EtherTech Industries first revealed the AetherCard, the world stood still. At first, people dismissed it as a gimmick, a mere trick of advanced brainwave interpretation. But when the first live demonstration aired, everything changed. A volunteer, skeptical and hesitant, held the AetherCard alongside another participant. For a brief moment, nothing happened. Then, their expressions shifted. Eyes widened. Mouths fell open in silent astonishment. "I can hear you," the first participant whispered. "No, you can feel me," the second corrected, trembling. The world erupted into chaos. AetherCard wasn't just reading thoughts, it was transmitting them. Governments, corporations, and researchers raced to get their hands on it. Skeptics demanded answers. Scientists questioned its limits. But the truth was undeniable. Humanity had unlocked a new form of communication, one that bypassed language entirely. For the first time in history, a father could understand his newborn's feelings. A couple could share emotions without the need for words. A therapist could feel the exact pain of their patient. The implications were staggering. Within months, AetherCards spread like wildfire. Celebrities, politicians, and influencers flaunted their experiences. Businesses adopted them for negotiations, ensuring honesty and transparency. Schools integrated them into learning, allowing teachers to directly transfer knowledge into students' minds. The world had changed. Yet, as with any new technology, the greatest revolutions often hide their darkest truths. At first, only the wealthy and privileged had access to AetherCard. The initial models were priced beyond the reach of ordinary citizens. But then, a breakthrough came. Mass production scaled up, making the device affordable for all. With that, a new era of pure, unfiltered communication began. Relationships became deeper than ever. Lovers no longer struggled to find the right words. They could simply share their raw emotions. Entire communities formed where language was no longer necessary, where ideas flowed freely between minds, unrestricted by vocabulary, grammar, or cultural barriers. And then came the upgrades. AetherCard 2.0 introduced enhanced memory sharing, allowing people to relive each other's experiences as if they were their own. A musician could upload a song directly into another person's mind, making them feel every note. An artist could transfer their inspiration, letting others see exactly what they envisioned. By the time AetherCard 3.0 was released, users no longer needed to hold the device. It could remain in their pocket, working seamlessly in the background. With just a thought, they could connect to anyone nearby. But was this truly a utopia? As more people adopted AetherCard, something strange began to happen. People became restless when disconnected. Social gatherings turned eerily silent, with individuals staring into each other's eyes, communicating without speaking. Children stopped learning to talk, relying solely on thought-sharing to express themselves. And then the most unsettling discovery was made. Thoughts were not as private as people had believed. At first it was dismissed as paranoia. Users claimed they could hear faint whispers, stray thoughts that didn't belong to them. Some reported that, even when they weren't actively using their AetherCard, they could still feel emotions that weren't their own. Then a security breach exposed a terrifying truth. EtherTech had been storing fragments of transmitted thoughts, millions of personal, private, and intimate memories, collected, analyzed, and stored in unseen servers. But that was only the beginning. Hackers found a way to override the AetherCard's connection limit, allowing them to access the thoughts of complete strangers. Governments quietly rolled out policies for thought surveillance, using the technology to track criminals and dissenters. And the most terrifying revelation of all, Some users reported phantom thoughts, ideas that weren't their own but felt as real as their own memories, as if somehow, someone, or something, was implanting thoughts directly into their minds. The AetherCard, once a beacon of unity, had begun to unravel the very foundation of human individuality. The era of AetherCard had arrived, and the world had never changed so quickly. Within a short time, millions owned this card as an inseparable part of their daily lives. No more phones, no more computers, no more keyboards or screens. Everything could now be controlled with a mere thought. This technology was so perfect that no one could resist it. With AetherCard, simply thinking about a product would order it and have it delivered instantly. Thinking about a message would send it without lifting a finger. People could now communicate purely through thoughts, eliminating the need for words. But gradually, some users began noticing strange occurrences in their minds. They had dreams they didn't remember having before. They heard thoughts that didn't belong to them. And at times they acted in ways they couldn't explain. A small group of long-time users realized they sometimes forgot the decisions they had made. They couldn't remember why they purchased a particular item. They couldn't recall why they had agreed to something they once opposed. And when they tried to think back, everything was blank. Nexacorp, the company behind AetherCard, was quick to respond. They claimed there was nothing unusual, that these were just side effects of adapting to the new technology. But that didn't explain why people seemed to be losing parts of their memories. Why were their thoughts being erased without their knowledge? A secret group of hackers, including former Nexacorp engineers, decided to investigate. They infiltrated AetherCard's core systems and discovered a terrifying truth. AetherCard wasn't just reading thoughts, it had the ability to rewrite them. It could alter a person's consciousness without them ever realizing it. This technology was too powerful, and the world's greatest forces couldn't ignore it. Governments, massive corporations, and secret organizations all sought to control AetherCard. With its capabilities, they could manipulate human thought without force. No need for wars, no need for weapons. Just one line of code could change a person's beliefs. The hackers knew that if they didn't act now, no one else would be able to resist the new world order. They formed an underground resistance determined to expose the truth. But Nexacorp had already anticipated their moves. A global hunt began, and those who dared to rise against them were silenced. In the shadows, the hackers devised a plan to infiltrate Nexacorp's headquarters. They discovered that AetherCard's control center was housed in a highly secured facility. If they could reach the core system, they could free the minds of humanity. But they also knew that failure meant being erased from existence. When they reached the control room, they were met with an enormous screen displaying real-time thoughts from AetherCard users. Billions of lines of thought were being recorded, analyzed, and even modified at that very moment. A truth so horrifying, it was almost impossible to comprehend. They quickly launched a data extraction program, copying all evidence of Nexacorp's mind manipulation. But just as the process neared completion, alarms blared. They had been discovered. A voice echoed through the communication system. "We know who you are. We've been expecting you. No one escapes us." Suddenly, one of the hackers froze. His eyes glazed over. His AetherCard lit up. He had been controlled. The remaining team members ran for their lives, carrying the stolen data. They knew that if they didn't spread this information immediately, they would never get another chance. But Nexacorp knew this too. Across the world, AetherCard users suddenly felt a sharp pain in their heads. A new update was being pushed. This update would erase all memories of the hackers' mission. Once it was complete, no one would remember that a rebellion had ever occurred. In a desperate final act, the hackers uploaded the data to the internet. News outlets, forums, and underground networks began spreading the truth. But would anyone believe it? Those without AetherCards began questioning everything. But those who had become fully dependent on the device felt a creeping doubt inside their own minds. They weren't sure if this was a real conspiracy or just another fabricated hoax. Nexacorp issued an official statement. The so-called rebels are spreading misinformation. Do not believe the skeptics. We are here to protect you. And with every passing second, the memory of the truth faded from the minds of AetherCard users. One question remained. If human thoughts could be altered, how could one ever be sure of what was real? If AetherCard had already changed someone's mind, could they ever remember how they once thought? And in a world where thoughts could be controlled, did free will even exist anymore? Your support means the world. Click subscribe and grow with us, and leave your comments so we can grow together.